Hey guys, Marstinkin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so very soon on the JP version, the EZA is going to be dropping for the INT LR Gohan. It's the standard format that we've seen for LR EZAs since their inception into the game, which is of course a 10-stage battle rather than 30. Fortunately, you do get 3 stones per stage, so you still get that sweet 30 stone reward overall. And just like the other LR EZAs, the main focus in terms of the weakness is legendary power, the link, when it comes to actually dealing the damage. When it comes to the best way to build the rest of your team in terms of defense, the special category is the Android/Cell Saga, which, you know, obviously makes a lot of sense. The good thing about LR EZAs compared to the normal ones as well, as you can see when you look down the list, there is no typing or, like, you know, no AGL tech, etc., super or extreme that gets a massive restriction in damage reduction or anything like that. So obviously you kind of want to steer away from tech units because Gohan is INT, and we know that these LR EZAs do have a much higher difficulty level than the previous ones. Like once you get to stage 10, I would imagine tech units are pretty much just getting one shot by this guy, so you do want to avoid them as much as possible. But once you've beaten the 10 stages, you obviously get all the medals you need to EZA him. You get the 5 INT type Kais that you would need to get him up to SA25 if you don't have like a spare copy or anything like that. And then you do get a bunch of extra orbs, which is kind of nice considering LR EZAs, they don't gain any extra levels or anything like that. So just getting some extra orbs on top is quite nice. And then there is a mission basically just for beating stage 7. So you are going to get an extra 3 orbs as long as you can get at least that far. So jumping over to Android/Cell Saga category, obviously there's a lot of LRs on here. In theory, any of them are going to be effective in this event as long as you have legendary power active. I guess maybe not the Prime Battle Cell, just because of the type disadvantage. I guess he could still be kind of useful because he does have the ability to heal, but as I say, he's going to get clapped when it comes to actually getting hit. So let us do what we always do with these team building guides. We're going to go over some of the top picks and a couple of honorable mentions. As always, if there's a unit that I didn't talk about or you think I didn't talk about enough, their strengths and weaknesses, let us know down below in the comments section. And if this guide does help you out at all, please do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let us dive right in. So of course, the main leader for the category is the INT LR Cell. 4 key and then HP and attack 150, defense 170. Very good leader skill for a difficult event like this, because HP and attack 150 is perfectly fine, and then obviously defense 170 is going to be very good as well. Of course, he is an LR, so having double LR leads on the team is obviously going to make it a little bit easier to have that legendary power link active more often than not. So in his starting form, he's fairly decent. Attack and defense 80%, raises defense by up to 80% the more HP you have. So obviously starting off in the EZA, he's going to be at his highest point. And then he gets an additional 1 key and 20% attack per enemy. So obviously in this event, unfortunately, that is only the 1. But it is nice to get at least a little bit of extra key. And then one thing where this guy is obviously going to come in super useful is in an EZA, you are unable to use items. So obviously you can't heal outside of your actual character abilities. So him having this transformation condition thing where if you start the turn on 30% HP or less, he's going to transform into Perfect Cell, give you a full heal, and then of course he becomes even more potent of a unit. So he's got even more attack and defense, starts with some extra key, and then depending on how many key spheres you can pick up, you can get a whole bunch of extra attack and defense. And the thing is, once you get to, like, let's say you get to stage 10, where obviously the difficulty is going to be at its highest, it's very possible that if the wrong unit takes a super attack, you could drop below 30% HP on turn 1, and then transform on turn 2. And then in that instance, you might actually be able to see the active skill, because you have to it's on the 3rd turn from transforming, and it has to be facing 1 enemy, which obviously we are going to be in this event. So it's actually very possible if you can transform on like turn 2 or 3, you might actually be able to get his active skill. and that's going to be doing a huge amount of damage, especially if you have him linked up with another LR and legendary power is active. He's going to be doing a ton of damage with his active skill, so obviously he is going to be the best choice for the leader of the team. And then of course his best partner is going to be the physical LR cell. Obviously not only because they're both LRs, so legendary power will be active, but this cell is going to have type advantage over the Gohan. He does have a little bit of utility in how you can choose to use him, because you can obviously go for his 18 key super, because you don't need to AoE because it's only one enemy, and the 18 key super is obviously going to do a lot more damage, or you can deliberately go for the 12 key super because that is going to give you 10% HP recovery. So just like the first form of the INT one, he gets a little bit of extra buff depending on how many enemies there are, and there is only one, so he's going to be getting 1 key and an extra 10% attack on top of attack and defense 90%. But the thing about the cells, they got a massive boost from the link level update, so if you have both of these guys together and they're link level 10, like that combo will be absolutely destroying Gohan, especially in the early stages. So that is going to be the MVP rotation, is that cell and this cell together. And then of course, if you don't have the INT cell, you can use the Android / Cell Saga leader skill of this INT 16. He's definitely one of the most memed on and hated units that came out around that time, because his build is very strange. He could be okay on the team. He has a high chance to guard, he has fairly decent defense, but then you're not going to get this secondary part of his passive unless you are bringing a youth Gohan. Because I mean, the AGL one is in the category, but obviously you want to try and prioritize getting legendary power active, so it's not like you're going to try and run them on the same rotation together. So honestly, I feel like this guy is like a last resort if you don't have another leader, and that's probably the only way you should really be bringing him onto the team. So then of course I wanted to highlight the physical LR androids. Now obviously one thing you can do if you don't have the INT cell is you could bring these guys as a leader and then run a full androids team. And then the reason why these guys are going to be so good is because they obviously are in an LR, so they're going to help activate legendary power. They have a medium chance to dodge built into their passive, and then they support Android category allies 2 key and attack 40%. So the absolute MVP rotation in this event is going to be the 2 LR cells together and then these guys in slot 3, because they're giving them 2 extra key, 40% extra attack. So both of those LR cells are going to be hitting like absolute trucks against Gohan when these guys are on the rotation. And then if you do get to the point where HP is 66% or less and you have another 2 androids on the team, which you are most likely to do because of the other cells, you will be able to activate the exchange into Android 16, and then he just becomes an absolute beast of a tank. I kind of like to, depending on the event, especially when it's a more difficult one, avoid the 18 key super because you do sacrifice some HP, but obviously you can mitigate that with the physical cell, and it can help you build towards getting below 30% to get the transformation for INT cell, so it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But he's got attack and defense 200% and has a built-in 50% chance to crit, so he is very, very good. There is an Android Cell Saga enemy as well, so he gets a guaranteed additional super attack. So if you transform into 16 and you can get legendary power active, he's going to be doing a ton of damage to Gohan as well. So moving on to some other LRs, we do have the physical Trunks. Now, he does need his EZA to really compete in some of the other harder content, but he's definitely going to be useful in this event, especially because there are a bunch of other Trunkses that you can link him up with. So he gets 120% attack, built-in 50% chance to crit. He raises defense on super, but until then he basically doesn't have any defense, so he's not a very good slot 1 unit. But there are a couple of other Trunkses, so he can put out some decent damage. And then we've got the, I've put them in the wrong order, but we got the Trunks from the new Super Battle Road rewards. Whilst he doesn't have Super Saiyan, he obviously does share a lot of the same links and is an LR. And based on where you choose to put him in the rotation, he does get some extra buffs. So depending on how many other units you bring, he does get a 15% chance to dodge per Vegeta family ally on the same turn, not including himself. So if you're linking him up with another Trunks, he's got a 15% chance to dodge. Not the highest, but still better than nothing. And then depending where you put him, he's going to get different buffs. So 60% defense, all allies key 3 as the first attacker, attacker defense 30%, and Vegeta family allies key 3 as the second attacker, and then key 3 and attacks 60% as the third attacker. So one thing that could work really well is putting the physical Trunks in slot 1 and then having this guy in slot 2, because then he's going to be giving 3 key and yeah, just 3 key to the allies, and then he's getting an extra attack and defense 30%. So he can work out pretty well. Obviously, he is the Super Battle Road reward, so you have to have done all the new stages and done them like multiple times, especially if you want him to be Rainbow, and that's when he's going to be his most effective. Or, of course, there is the Prime Battle Trunks. Now, he is designed for fighting multiple enemies, but he's still going to be fairly decent in this. He's probably going to be the weakest out of the majority of the LRs that you could be running in this setup, but he definitely can still be pretty good. And obviously his main role really is to activate a lot of the links, including legendary power for the physical LR. So we did cross over this guy's page very briefly. AGL Gohan is going to be fairly solid if you can get him alongside another Saiyan. Like, you don't need to necessarily get all the Trunks specific links, so this guy in slot 1 and then physical Trunks in slot 2 would still be a perfectly fine combination. This guy builds up his defense over time. Obviously on this team build you can bring the Android 16, which, whilst I said he's kind of a last resort if you don't have a leader, you could bring him along on the team so you can actually get the transformation with Gohan, because it's starting from the 5th turn, or when HP. No, with Android 16 on the team, it's when HP is 50% or less. So you could actually get a nice staggered setup where you drop below 50%, 58% HP, transform Gohan, and then during that turn drop below 30% HP and then transform with Cell and get a full heal. And then you'll be rocking and rolling, because transformed Gohan is obviously going to do a ton of damage, but it just kind of depends, because it all depends. We're going to have to see in game how much damage that 16 is going to be taking in the later stages, because if he starts taking way too much damage, then it's not worth the trade-off of bringing him just to get the transformation with Gohan. But it could be something that is worth looking into. So I think that was, yeah, all the LRs. So just to go over some honorable mentions for some non-LR units that could be useful to bring. So Piccolo, obviously he's on the category, he raises defense on super, but he foresees enemy super attacks, which is a super useful mechanic. Obviously in this EZA, Gohan's going to be hitting very hard with his super, so being able to see exactly when that's going to be coming is going to be something that is super useful. Obviously, the way the team is set up, you're not going to be able to get the transformation because there's no other Namekian on the team, but he's kind of there more for the utility than anything, because seeing the super attacks is obviously something that is going to be super useful. So then we have the future Gohan. He's a really good defensive unit and he becomes better defensively over time. He's kind of included because his defense is pretty good, and then obviously he will help to activate some of the other Super Saiyan links, especially if you have like the Super Battle Road LR Trunks linked up with the physical one. Then obviously this guy can kind of be the 3rd slot unit with the Trunks in the middle to allow him to get access to Super Saiyan, which can be pretty useful. And like I say, he can kind of hold his own defensively as well, so he's not, you know, a worthless addition to the team. Then we have the STR Cell. Now obviously I didn't want to pick the tech one because, yeah, he's got type disadvantage, but this guy, he does super early. He can super attack from 10 key. And then, of course, if you go for the 11 key super, even though technically it is an AoE, which you don't really need to use, but it's another super attack that's in your arsenal that heals you for 10% HP. So that can be another thing that can be very useful when surviving in more difficult events where you can't heal. And obviously it's another cell unit to help activate links. Like if you only have one of the cells, but then you're linking them up with, say, the LR androids to get legendary power, then obviously this guy can be on the other side of them to activate some more of those cell-specific links. So he's definitely a good option as well. Then we have the physical Future 17. Now, the Future androids, without having EZAs, they're obviously not quite as good as some of the other options you could bring, but he does have the type advantage. He changes tech orbs to physical. So it's going to be fairly easy to get orbs with him to super and obviously get a little bit of extra health back. Or you can use that as a way to get like a big 24 key super with the physical cell as well. So he can be pretty decent. And then there's the STR EZA 17. I did use him and the 18 in the GT Legendary Goku event run that I did with androids. And they can hold their own in the harder events because they do stack. It's the earlier turns that you have to worry about them the most. So this guy gets a guaranteed, a medium chance of launching an additional super when you have 18 on the same turn. So obviously having them together is very, very good. He also has a built-in chance to crit. And then 18 is going to be really good in those early turns because when you have a 17 on turn with her, she has a medium chance to dodge. So you can obviously put her in slot 1. She doesn't raise her defense, she raises her attack, but once she is fully built up, her defense can be pretty good. She does also have 18% damage reduction, so she can be pretty solid as well. So those are some decent non-LRs that you can bring, but obviously just remember, like I say, in order to do the actual big damage to Gohan, you really need the legendary power link to be active. So there you go, that is the top picks and honorable mentions. Looking down the list here, there's no one who like super stands out as being a really like top tier useful unit. I guess INT Future Gohan is pretty decent, especially if you're bringing a Trunks unit, because obviously he'll be able to transform. I guess if you are running a very android centric team, this 18 is a fairly decent support unit, although her defense is not the best. But yeah, let me know down below if there's any other units here that you would consider worthwhile bringing onto the team. So there you go. Hopefully that is going to help some guys out and you're going to be able to beat all the stages of this event. Obviously for me, I have to wait until he clubs to global. I will do the guide again, as I do in these circumstances now, because by the time this comes to global, we probably are going to have some different options available. But let me know what you guys think down below. What is your team build going to be for this EZA? And like I say, mention any units that you think need some more attention in the comment section and we continue the discussion down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.